Welcome back to my Survivor review, Season 2. Now, I was this close to not doing the Survivor review this season. No lie. Now, I love doing this show, don't get me wrong. It's just that I'm really busy right now. I was busy this summer, and now it's fall, and I'm still busy. In fact, I promised you guys a special episode this summer that just never materialized because I'm so busy. But I will bring you that special episode probably this winter, or next summer, or the following winter. At the latest, the following summer, or sometime between Survivor seasons, I promise. Anyway, if you've been following me on Twitter, or if you haven't, you need to start following me on Twitter, at SurvivorTrev, you'll know that I was adopted by a kitten this summer, through a rabies scare. Anyway, the cat now has a name, and the name is Hitcher, as in hitchhiker, like the movie, The Hitcher. The old one with Rutger Hauer, not the new one with Sean Bean. That was an abomination. I thought the name Hitcher was appropriate because, I found him on a highway, so he's sort of like a hitchhiker. Plus, he's pure evil, like the Hitcher was in the movie, so I thought it was fitting. But he's not all bad. He has a sweet side. He likes to cuddle when he's not scratching me. Now, in case you're wondering what his full name is, it's Hitcher McCuddlenugget. Why McCuddlenugget? Because that's my last name, and he's my adopted son. Now, before I get comments down below of, "Ugh, Sean Bean? Don't you know it's Sean Bean of Game of Thrones fame?" I don't want to hear it, okay? If you spell your name Sean, the proper way to spell Sean, and your last name is Bean, you can't have it both ways. It's either Sean Bean or Sean Bajan. And I prefer Sean Bean. So what were we talking about again? Oh, the cat. The kitten. The kitten has made me a better person. He's taught me how to clean litter boxes. He's taught me how to bleed out of small cuts on my hands, on my arms, on my feet. If anybody wants a small cat, a kitten, just tweet me. All right. Let's bring this thing back on the rails. This is the Survivor review, not Ramblefest 2012. Now, you might have noticed some changes. Right off the bat, a different set. We're also going to try a different format. I'm not going to do a Survivor recap where I'm going to tell you what happened during the episode. I'm going to expect that you've already watched the episode of Survivor, and I'm just going to pick and choose what I thought was worth commenting on. Now, changing things up should make things a little bit more interesting for me, and it'll probably save me a little bit of time making this show. And I don't know if you've heard, but I'm pretty busy. So, saving time here and there is a good thing. So let's dive right into Survivor Philippines, Episode 1. Now, this episode is called Accident-Prone Old Men. Or at least it should be called that. Now, there's two things I love right out of the gate. The full intro and the marooning. 2 thumbs up, my friends. Now, during the marooning, Jeff Probst asks, "Roxanne, what was the worst thing you've ever seen on Survivor?" Had he asked me that question, I would have said, seeing Boston Rob play for a 4th time. But she says something about some guy almost having a heart attack. So they bring in the returning players, and this is what I think about these guys. Let's start with Mike Scoopin, or as Jeff Probst refers to him, Scoopin. This whole last name thing, it's kind of jumped the shark ever since Cochran. Because Cochran ruined it, because he sucks. He might be a nice guy, but as far as Survivor goes, he sucks. If Jeff Probst called me McCuddlenugget, I'd take it as an insult. Cochran ruined it. Anyway, we know what Mike's been doing for the past 10 years. He's been getting older. But the guy's still a stud. Let's just hope he doesn't creep everybody out eating fish eyeballs while he's praying to God. like he did in the Outback. In this episode, we learn that Mike is pretty accident prone. That fire incident wasn't an isolated incident. Sandra was the first ever player to win Survivor twice. Mike might be the first player to be medevaced from Survivor twice. Up next we have Penner, another last name, Jonathan Penner. Now, I like Jonathan. He's a straight talker, he's logical. I'd like him inside and outside of this game. Outside of this game, you're not going to hurt his feelings. And inside of this game, you can read him easily. The problem for Jonathan is that he's so abrasive that he will never win this game. You know what they say, Jonathan? 4 times a charm. Or maybe in your case, 20 times is a charm. Or maybe you should just stick with Survivor, the board game. I don't know. Like I said, I like Jonathan. I like watching Jonathan. But he just doesn't fit into the mold of the returning players. Jonathan was actually voted out once before. In all honesty, I think Colton should have taken Jonathan's spot. And last but not least, we have Russell. How many times is this guy going to play this game? What? Oh, it's not Russell Hantz? Who's Russell Swan? Who's that? Oh, the guy who almost had a heart attack? That guy is so lucky he almost had a heart attack. Because there is no way in hell they would have asked him back had he not had such a dramatic exit from the show. That guy sucks. Russell, there's a difference between being a leader and being a bossy jackass. Just so you know. Now there's 3 people who really stand out for me so far this season. And the first one is Dawson. From her CBS.com interviews, she seems a little bit kooky, a little bit quirky. I like her. The second one on my radar is Malcolm. There's a lot of similarities to the way I would play the game and the way Malcolm is playing the game. Although, I would cut it up a little bit more on my confessionals. Malcolm is definitely one to keep your eye on. He's crafty. The third person on my radar is Angie. She's from Utah, so she's got to be Mormon, right? Now it all makes sense. Now I know why Joseph Smith or Brigham Young or Mitt Romney, whoever it was that instituted polygamy in the Mormon religion, now I know why. I'll take 2. Now this season we have 3 tribes with 6 people on each tribe. Now that's going to make strategy a little more difficult because the tribes are smaller, but as a viewer it's going to make things a lot more interesting. So, 2 thumbs up for that. Now this season we have a couple of celebrities. We have Blair, or Lisa, from The Facts of Life, and MLB All-Star Jeff Kent. Now I kind of have mixed feelings about both of them, because having celebrities on Survivor rubs me the wrong way. On the same token, I actually like both of these people. Now prior to Survivor, I had no idea who Jeff Kent was. And that's because I don't partake in America's pastime. Because baseball is boring, whether you watch it in person or on TV. It's the most boring sport to watch. And I only say that because golf isn't a sport. Golf is a skill. I'll play any sport, but watching sports on TV, not really my thing. Baseball still is America's pastime, right? Or has it been overtaken by eating? I'm gonna have to Google that one. So you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have Lisa Whelchel. Now apparently Lisa thinks that gays can be cured, which is further proof that Colton should have been on this season and she should have been on his tribe. That would have been interesting. Now apparently Mike Skupin has a little bit of a crush on Blair. He spent his early adulthood watching The Facts of Life and probably at one time or another had a one-sided physical relationship with her. Allegedly. So let's dust off an old beloved segment from this show. This Week in Dumb. Now Carter really didn't do anything in this episode of Survivor, but he always has this look on his face, and that's good enough for me. So that concludes this week's This Week in Dumb segment. Thanks for watching. Let's talk about Denise for a second. She's a sex therapist. Now, there's a lot of things I'd talk to Denise about, Maybe the weather, maybe she could advise me on a good exercise regimen, maybe she could tell me about a new vitamin, she could help me pick out a bouquet of flowers for my girlfriend. But sex? Now here's a quote from Mike Skupin from this episode of Survivor. He says, "We don't have fire, which means we don't have water, and it's been raining since the crack of dawn." Well, how about the water that's falling from the sky, Mike? Why don't you collect that and drink that for the time being? Now, in this episode, we had a really cool immunity challenge. Why? Well, as Jeff Probst put it, the chest weighs a ton. And if the chest weighs a ton, I like it. Just putting that out there. Now, as it turns out, the team that the Russell That Sucks is on loses the challenge. And I thought it was going to be Russell's swan song, but it wasn't. Now, apparently Zane lives dangerously close to a nuclear power plant, or the groundwater is tainted where he lives, because he has a brilliant idea to test his standing in the tribe by throwing himself under the bus and telling everybody they should vote him out. When Zane is casting his vote at Tribal Council, he says, "If you ain't first, you're last." Well, Zane, apparently you're both, because first out is last place. Now Zane, don't worry, it might not be over for you yet. You might have a future in Survivor casting, because retreading tires can't be that much different than retreading survivors. Zing! So that's it for this week. What you need to do is hit the subscribe button right over here. You need to follow me on Twitter, on Tout, and on Facebook at SurvivorTrev. And I'll see you guys in week 2 of my Survivor review. Season 2. Toodaloo.